Looks like we got a new friend!
Oh, hi, you guys, and welcome to this week's tabletop talk about the Mouse Guard campaign. Joining me today are Margaret and Eris, and hopefully Alicia will be joining us shortly. And we're going to be talking about the campaign so far. Now, me and Eris are new to the campaign, but Maggie is you know, she's our expert, so she can clarify for us.
I didn't say I'm an expert.
Oh no, you're the expert. Like, you know, in this crowd, Maggie, you know, you're the expert. So
Okay, in this crowd, maybe.
yeah, you can at least be our gauge on how much is Eric and how much is the system. You know, like.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So no pressure.
I think Eric has been doing a fantastic job.
Hasn't he though?
In general, like any game that I've played with him or watched him play, he's just a very patient, calm guy. I don't know if you've ever seen him be anything other than that.
No,
but he's
never.
I like the way he jams. He's just very caring. Wants to make sure everyone's doing all right.
We should go around and introduce ourselves. So I am Scraticus, this is my channel. I've got lots of links. I'll spam you all of them in chat, but I won't go through the full rigmarole. And I'll hand over to Maggie.
I am Margaret Crone, and I do a lot of things. 9 to 5, I work for NCSoft. If you guys are interested in MMOs, we make a lot of them, so come check it out, ncsoft.com. And oft times I do a lot of streaming. So I stream every single day except for Friday, and I'm into 7 to 8 tabletop RPG games. So if you're interested in RPG games, I got you. I know Scrat has already got you, but if you need more for some weird reason, because you're a crazy person, there's more. I also make new gameplay videos every single day at Margaret Crone Plays on YouTube. And I am failing at making vlogs. Someday I will make vlogs.
You do an amazing amount. Like, considering you have a full-time job as well. I mean, I remember I was there at one point. I was doing the full-time job and the stream thing, and it's hard. And your constitution is incredibly impressive.
Well, we were just talking about it earlier. I was like, "How's it going for your first couple weeks here?"
It's been absolutely amazing. Who'd have thought that I'd like be halfway towards my attending Gen Con stretch goal in my first month?
I have never been to a Gen Con either. I need to go one of these days.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it's a really high goal amount. If anyone's looking at that and thinking £400 a month to get to Gen Con in like 8 months, remember, flying from Europe, me and my wife. Anyway, yeah, but also we have the wonderful Eris, or Animus Panthera, as she recently revealed was chosen a childhood tag, wasn't it? Like,
well, high school. I was like 16.
Close enough.
You know,
a long time ago.
Hi.
Yes. Hello. I'm Animus Panthera. During the daytime, I'm a zoologist and I train animals, and then sometimes I come here and stream stuff. It's great. I'm on Twitter and pretty much everywhere else is Animus Panthera. I talk a lot about cosplay and also tabletop games. And if you ever have any questions about animals, I love talking about animals also. So that's me.
Yeah.
I loved the thread you made. You're like, you tagged me in it. You're like,
oh yes.
Erica says I need to post more photos of animals. I'm like, yes.
I have so many pictures of animals on my phone.
They're all awesome. So
I totally missed that. I mean, maybe I should have made it clear at the time. Feel free to tag me too. You know, like yeah. So the stuff we've done so far, like I just think this is the most wholesome game I've ever played in my life. You know, like, I don't know if it's the episodic nature of it, where, like, every episode has a conclusion, and it's either, you know what, you passed or you failed, or whatever, but it doesn't matter because we get closure every single time, or whether it's just, like, the sheer nature of the content, like, where we're all mice in this really cute place, even if you especially, Maggie, have the most horrendous, dark, like, backstory. And when I first got a window into that, like, both as a player and as a character, I was just like, Jesus. You know, like...
well, we haven't really dug deep into the Mouse Guard lore, but it is very dark and gruesome and grim. I mean... As a zoologist, you know that the cycle of life in the animal kingdom is not it's not an easy one, especially for tiny creatures like mice. And so it's very interesting because you have this hierarchy of these animals. And then you also have, on top of that, because we can all speak, right, in this world, there's also this political thing that's going on with all of the animals within their kingdoms, and then also like our Mouse Guard as well, which we haven't really gotten to all of that, but I think Eric talked a little bit about why he's doing it the way that he is, and I actually think it's really great, especially for new players. You get to see like all these all like the lighter pieces, and then he'll slowly start bringing us into the depths of it all.
It's important to mention that he sent us all a questionnaire at the beginning asking us what sort of content would be interesting in seeing.
The cat took Harris's cam, or is taking over Harris. I'm not sure.
Yeah. We've all been there. Hildy decided to do it the other day. I can't remember what I was doing, but it was something like the required keyboard. Like I was playing, I don't know, I was doing like a raid in WoW or something, and Hildy was suddenly like, the keyboard is mine. I was like, God, no. I'm the healer. My people need me. You know, like...
But then you know there's someone who's lying, who's like, yeah, my cat hit my keyboard. You're like, no,
yeah.
But you were talking about how Eric sent us all like a form.
Yeah, he sent us a form, and we sent back. I think we all pretty much ticked all the boxes. We want political intrigue. We want dire consequences. We want fun, happy times, like everything. I can't remember exactly what the form said, but everything that he offered us, we were like, yes, please. Was the feedback we got. And I think he's done well in covering lots of different aspects and showing us...
I think what he had said was that a lot of the responses to that were people wanted more of like the RP-oriented things. They weren't interested in maybe like so much of the heavy combat.
Yeah.
And I do feel like he's right. The darker stuff is definitely more of the combat because you're fighting, you know, weasels and owls and all kinds of creatures and stuff, like possums. I don't know, whatever.
Kitty cats.
Maybe cats sometimes. I don't
Was
know.
it...
I never actually fought a cat anytime I've ever played Mouse Guard, so...
Was it? No, was it? I can't remember if it was. I think it was on Roll For It. Mouse Guard campaign, I'm sure with you in it, a while back.
Oh, we did not have Mouse Guard. We played a custom-made game. We used Dungeon World as a basis, and EE created a game called Cheese Quest.
Cheese Quest! That's
Yeah.
what it was. With the mouse that fought anything bigger than anything else was a cat? Is that right?
We did fight a cat,
Yeah.
and we also fought a flat cat, aka a Roomba.
Cat.
We called everything a cat, so
Yeah,
like a Roomba
that's-
was a flat cat.
That's what I
we
remember from that
called,
campaign. Everything was
like,
just some kind of cat, like cat with
The
wings.
fish
Like,
were catfish, but like, I mean, they weren't actually catfish, like, because there's a catfish that's a thing. There was like a flying bird, which we called it a flying cat. Like, we just called everything like some form of cat, because we were like domestic mice who had never seen other creatures in our lives.
yeah.
Noctuvita's talking about Bubba. Bubba, oh, I love Bubba. He was just this dumb, fat, giant mouse who liked to eat things. And he was like a tank / he did a lot of DPS.
Yeah.
He wore a tomato can as his armor.
See, now, when I viewed that a while back, I think that was actually what got me first interested in Mouse Guard, because I looked up mouse TTRPGs, I found Mouse Guard, and I think I must have just skipped a step, because I was like, oh, well, that must be what they're playing, you know, and like...
Yeah.
So I went with that. So, yeah.
Was not what we were playing. We were playing
nice.
whatever was in EE's Crazy Mind, which I thought actually turned out really cool.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
We should give EE a shout out.
Yeah, EE's good people.
Yeah.
And then, of course, but Mouse Guard has its own rules. I never actually got to use like the conflict system that he was using, which is really cool with the cards.
Yeah.
Which I think is fun.
So, what's been you guys' favorite moment? We've had 4 episodes so far. What's been your favorite top #1 moment of the campaign so far? Like, 'cause we do the best moment every week.
Yeah.
That's so hard.
I know. We're here asking the questions that count. You know?
Like so many cool things happened, or like really, really dumb things.
I mean, I'm struggling to think of the answer myself. I've got a feeling it's. I don't think one of my favorite moments is between Brandon and Rockford, although they come pretty close. I've got a feeling, you know, it might be when Brandon had this whole idea of like, maybe I can be the person who teaches young mice things and tries to give Eddie a lecture, and Eddie just ends up like correcting him and putting it all straight, and I was like, humble pie.
I think we just call those
Brandon.
Brandomisms because Brandon like keeps trying to do stuff. Like when he was trying to help little Timmy, and he's just like, "Oh, maybe we shouldn't make stew anymore."
Putting his foot in it. I feel that hardcore, like in a deep place in my heart.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so good. I don't know. It's hard to pick the best moment.
It's definitely a lot easier to pick the best moment, like on a per episode basis, versus like
The whole
overall.
thing, yeah. Can we remember what all the best moments were from each one? Like, last week's I think was the moment with the ship, wasn't it? Where Timmy was where Timmy was like,
Looks like we got
now do we jump out the window? Is this what we do?
How does romance work?
Of course, and Timmy's taking romance advice from Brandon, which is just like a whole
This lonely old man who like lives in the forest. Like, oh, thank you very much for the raid, Archdevil Road 2. Welcome in, raiders. Oh, hi.
Welcome.
Willkommen. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of like what my favorite moment has been so far. Just because there's so many, I could just talk about all the moments that I
Yeah.
go ahead with my favorite of all of them.
I think my favorite NPC so far was possibly the old woman running the village. Like the woman who just knew.
What was it, Dory?
Yeah, Doris.
Doris, yeah.
Doris.
Who just had no idea what was going on, was doing her best, but she was just like. It just, you know what? It's the kind of NPC that gets me every time. It's an NPC that's essentially useless but means well, and chokes me up. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I really like the moments. I like emotional moments. I don't know why. So part of me really loves Cole and how
Oh, yeah.
when we found out that that was actually his mother, our Daisy was actually his mother, and I think that was kind of cool. And especially being our first episode, like it was a lot. It was like a lot that went on during that episode. You got to laugh, you got to cry, you got to, it was everything.
Speaking of which, I really liked the thing that Eric did in the first episode where we had decided on that plot point, like, oh, the leader of our group just died. And then we got to decide together, like, what she was like, as opposed to just being told what she was like. I thought that was a really neat thing to do.
I liked it as well. That was cool. And everyone kind of got a little piece that they got to, give her life.
Yeah.
I felt like when it got to my turn, I was like, ooh, we kind of have a theme. Like, it's, so it just kind of worked.
Yeah. And so now, how much of it, and I'm asking mainly you, Maggie, in a sense, how much of this wholesome, like, closing out the episode every week and everything, how much of it is Mouse Guard and how much of it is just Eric's zen composure coming across? Is this the most wholesomely designed TTRPG I've ever played, or is Eric just the most wholesome DM I've ever had? That's the line I'm trying to find.
I think the system has a system for this, so I think he follows the system very well in having, every moment has a GM turn, or a GM turn, and then the player's turn, and you have a conflict that you start with during the GM's turn, and then you guys can kind of do whatever you want to culminate it. I think that is part of just how Mouse Guard works, but not everyone plays Mouse Guard to the T, how the system is created. So for the one that I played in, it was nothing like that. Like, we didn't have closure at every end. Sometimes we had it where it left off with just a cliffhanger, and we had to like come back next week and try to find out what was actually going on. So I think it's definitely on him quite a bit, and because he uses the system how it was built, whereas some people don't do that.
And so Eris, how have you felt through it so far? Are you getting the same like wholesome vibe that I've been getting? Like, is it keeping you in that sweet spot? Like, do you know what I'm trying to say? Like, we're just like, oh.
Yeah, kind of. I do sort of see what Margaret is saying about how it's a lot to do with Eric, because I'm like, I could definitely see how you could play this game less that way. You know what I mean?
I suppose, like, as a zoologist as well, I imagine you could think of a lot of ways that mice could do terrible, terrible things to each other, and all the problems that they could encounter. I imagine that comes to you quite easily.
Mice, like many animals, are not as like nice and sweet and wonderful as everybody thinks they are. But yeah, they're very cute though.
Also, lots of things think they're delicious.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. All really fun toys.
That too.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah. I'm thinking of... we've all got house panthers, I think.
Yeah?
Yeah. Yeah.
The look on Aaron's face is horrified. She's like, no rats yet.
Well, I think I wouldn't know because I've definitely found the remains of like cockroaches that were definitely so it killed them. And I'm like, I'm like,
Slayer, I see.
probably if there was a mouse, so we'll probably just feed it.
So like,
My cat definitely kills bugs.
I think the most mouse guard thing that's ever happened to me IRL fits into this story quite nicely.
Okay.
Because one time I found Hildy staring at back in our old place. We used to leave the patio door open because it was a rented place. We couldn't put a cat flapper and everything. So if she wanted to come in and out freely, we just had to have the patio door open. And I just found her staring out of the patio door because there was a pigeon there, and as the pigeon started to take flight, and this just reminded me of the male thing from the second episode, as the pigeon started to take flight, a falcon came out of nowhere and grabbed the pigeon. There was like an explosion of feathers. Hildy was straight out there like, woohoo! Like,
Yeah.
yeah, it was crazy.
Falcons are majestic beasts, man.
I mean, I say falcon. It might not have been a falcon. It might
Okay.
have been something else.
My new fun fact, I learned this recently. So, did you know falcons are actually more closely related to parrots than they are to hawks?
Interesting. I could see that.
Yes, they're basically murder parrots.
Murder parrots.
Murder parrots. Great. Just what I needed in life.
But now I've got visions in my head of like just a falcon, but in like that bright red, blue, and green. Like,
Beautiful.
am I a death machine? Am I a flamingo? You shall not know. Yeah, I know, guys in chat, if you're lurking and you've got any questions to ask us about the system or ask us about the characters we're playing or anything like that, feel free to fire them in because, yeah, we'd love to answer them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ask us all the deepest questions. It can be tabletop RPG related. It doesn't always have to be specifically Mouse Guard either.
That's very true.
Yeah.
I think this is the first system I've played like this as well, where like you have the distinct DM's turn and GM's turn.
Yeah.
Or DM's turn and player's turn, rather. Like,
Yeah.
usually I'm used to the very D&D style of things, where it's like, well, we're doing things. We're all playing together. Here's an NPC, that's my character, and you have your characters, and...
Everybody just does things.
Yeah, there's a lot of different systems out there that try to play on the roles of everybody. There's some systems where there is no GM, right? Which is really kind of neat. For you guys, I guess, for the first time playing Mouse Guard, do you enjoy it? Are there like parts of it that you don't like? Are there parts of it that you do like that is different than other systems that you've played?
I can't think of anything off the top of my head that I don't like, but I'll put some thought to it. But
I kind of really like that it apparently has rules for like everything. Like the player was gone last week, so now they have a thing that they can do, and they have a rule for like at the beginning somebody other than the DM can do the recap to get things. Like there's kind of like a lot of like little rules that aren't like necessarily gameplay things. Like not things you're doing in game, but sort of like
they're also out of game stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Which I don't know that I'm like having a hard time thinking of other systems that have stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I've really enjoyed about it. I've really enjoyed just the way everything flows together, and I really like, and I've got a feeling this is actually probably more, well, it takes a clever DM to do it, but the system definitely enables it. The whole, we've got a mission, we want to accomplish the mission, this thing is against our beliefs, but we're going to have to let it happen because, or I need to sacrifice the mission, I like that sort of, I can't think of the right word for it, but the ultimatum, but the compromise, the ultimatum, all that sort of thing, like where you have to like, well, we can do this, but then this happens, or we can stop and sort this out, we can go and do this. And I'm looking forward actually to when we encounter something that really crosses one of our core beliefs massively. So like, I don't know, if we've got like a job to do that seems quite menial, for example, and maybe weasels get involved, and it'll be interesting to see how Timmy would react to that,
Yeah.
Because I mean, obviously I can't speak for you. He's your character, but I imagine he's got quite a few emotions there.
Just a few.
Just a few.
You know. They only made me make my dad into stew. You know. It's all good.
When you came out with that, I was
You
just
feel
so...
like out of context. You're like, what?
But like, oh, boy did Brandon felt like the worst person ever. Do you know what I really fancy today? I really fancy some stew. Having no knowledge of this, I really fancy some stew. Let's have some stew. And you're like, oh, okay, I can make stew.
No, I don't think Timmy has a problem making stew.
I know, but like
Timmy's coping mechanism is making food.
I get that, but like for Brandon, like you then going into this story about your dad and having stew, and it's just like
I regret bringing up stew.
in Brandon's mind, you're just putting on a face, you know. You might already have coped with it and everything, but in Brandon's mind, I've put this poor child through so much trauma just in a conversation, a simple innocent request for food. I thought I would do something they like.
I think Timmy probably also feels like it makes him closer to his dad when he's making food, you know, in a way. I know that sounds really dark and creepy, but his family comes from a town where it's mostly harvesters and they make food. Like that's what their town is all about, is farming and making food.
Yeah, I can totally see that.
Or raising bugs to help carry food.
That's something
we've deliver it.
We've had a lot of interaction with bees so far with Eddie and stuff.
Yeah.
But like we haven't done much of like beetles or any other bugs yet. That'd be interesting to explore, I think. I'd be interested to explore that. I think most of us have got insectress in one way or another, haven't we?
Yeah, I have it as like one of my skills.
Same here.
Noctivita's like, I did a double take on that one.
Yeah.
The one bug that Eddie was like, I don't know anything about the bug.
I'm currently still taking a double take on I feel closer to my dad when I'm making food. That sounded so dark. Like, oh.
Well, as a family, we would make food together all the time.
Yeah, no, it made sense when you explained it, but still, like, oh yeah,
Timmy had to make the stew that his dad was in, right? This is the thing that happened.
Oh yeah, he did.
Involved. Oh, he did. Oh, never mind.
He was directly involved.
Oh God.
Yeah, exactly. So like when you're like, oh, I
just
feel
wait.
close.
Like the weasels are horrible. Wait till you learn about how the weasels deal with things. They have mice as slaves. Like this is the thing with Mouse Guard is if you're afraid of certain topics, then you know you just wouldn't encounter them. But in Mouse Guard lore, there's a lot of those topics.
Yeah.
They do not understand the word consent. It is very grim, but it doesn't mean that we have to, touch on those topics per se.
Yeah, of course. And if we were to, I mean, obviously, so on this channel, sexual abuse is a hard line. We don't do anything like that. But when we do the riskier, everyone faces riskier like things to talk about sometimes. We were talking about this earlier actually in the Call of Cthulhu stream. We've got safety systems in place behind the scenes where we can check in on each other and make sure everyone's okay and stuff. So like if Eris is looking particularly unhappy, for example, we've got a check-in. If you guys know about safety systems in chat, you know about the flower system, you know about check-in cards. We've got a sort of digital version of that behind the scenes that we use to try and make the place safer. I'm trying to stop using the word safe. Always trying to make it safer, Yeah.
I appreciate it. I mean, I feel like I've been fortunate where like all the tabletop games that I've been a part of have been pretty good about that. So
yeah, you hear horror stories though.
I feel like one thing too is that a lot of the games that I play, like in real life, not on screen, will almost always end up being with like really close friends, and you know each other really well, and you can like see that, and we're all very careful about like how people are reacting to things. Especially, I was talking before about one of my games. The DM is his first time DMing, and he's got 12 people in this game. He's the kind of guy who he's very like, if he thinks he's upsetting you, he'll stop and be like, "Are you okay? Like, did I say something to offend you? Like, are you upset? Can we backtrack?" Like that. He won't even hesitate. Like, even where he's not like worried about ruining the game by stopping to be like, "Hey, was that okay?" And I feel like I've been in a lot of games like that where everybody's sort of willing to just be like, "Hey, I know we're trying to have fun and play this game, but if we need to stop, let's just stop."
Well, that's exactly the thing. It's at the end of the day, it's a game, right? It's for fun. So if you're not having fun,
what are you doing?
you've missed the point, right? So.
And I mean, and if there are some people who like hitting those darker topics and stuff like that, and I for one don't get offended very easily, and I enjoy delving into emotions that are, not always comfortable, because sometimes you do have like arguments where like you're yelling in character at each other, but out of character you're perfectly fine, like as people,
Yeah.
For instance, if anybody watches like the Layla the Vampire Slayer show that I was on, me and one of the other characters, we had a relationship. We broke up. There was yelling at each other. Out of game, we're both like, "Are you okay? I love you still. We're still friends." But on the show, it's very apparent that we like hate each other at that current moment, or at that moment in the show. And for other people, they're like enjoying watching the drama, but you still need to make sure that everybody's okay with what's happening too.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Safety's very important. Yeah. I feel safe in this game actually as well. Even when Timmy was telling me about weasels and stuff, so far I felt pretty safe in this game,
Don't tell Eric that. He'll make sure you don't feel safe. No, just kidding. He'll bring the weasels out.
They feel safe. Time for weasels. Yeah. I mean, again, I don't know what I'm in for, but Eris, weasels, IRL weasels. I'm joking. You don't have to. This isn't going to be like. I think it'd be a fun thing to do. Where like every animal we come across, we ask you like about fun IRL facts, but I won't put you on the spot for that.
That would be pretty funny.
I actually once I was super excited about this. I got to go on a black-footed ferret survey. So the black-footed ferret is a weasel, and they're really endangered. And they were going out to try and like catch them, to like tag them and get some information about them and stuff. I think we caught one. We were out there for like a week.
They're sneaky little guys.
Well, and they're highly endangered too, so it might just not have been very many. But yeah, they eat prairie dogs, and the big problem with them right now is literally the plague. Prairie dogs in America pretty much all have the plague.
That's horrifying.
Yeah.
That's pretty
scary. There's a lot of prairie
like,
dogs in Wisconsin.
What kind of plague? And I'm like the plague. Don't mess with prairie dogs. They have the plague. They're all dying.
I mean, now, let's just check. Bubonic Black Death Plague?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Plague. Okay, the plague. The plague. Got it.
Yeah, one of my friends was saying she's this person she knows who like shows videos of him like feeding squirrels, and she's like, "Do you want the plague? This is how you get the plague." And it's like, that's true, actually. This is how you get the plague.
It's hard with rodents, because rodents are
carriers.
They carry stuff, so you just have to be really careful whenever you're doing anything out in the wilderness with animals.
America's a crazy
that includes
place,
people.
By the way. Okay, America is a crazy place. So I came to America for the first time this year, and Alice grew up on an island where you can walk 30 minutes in any direction and get to the sea. And, I've come from places where there's lakes and stuff, and if you fancy it, you could just hop in, go for a swim. We go over to France all the time. You see a lake, you can swim in it. And, we come over to Florida, and we're like, oh, that looks like a really nice lake. Is that like, can people swim in that? And Jay...
Crocodiles.
No. Crocodiles...
With alligators.
No, not crocodiles, not alligators. Neither of them.
Okay.
Jay, Tool School, tells us, no, you can't go in that pond because there is bacteria in there that will go up your nose and eat your brain.
Oh yes, we have that. here in Texas, we have flesh-eating bacteria in the water sometimes, and I've actually had tourists come up to me and be like, "But can I go swimming?" And we're like, "But there's flesh-eating bacteria," and they're like, "But can I swim in it?" And you're like, "No, it has flesh-eating bacteria in it."
I'd be like, yes, Darwinism, sure.
No, that's what.
What the hell? Flesh-eating
Did you
bacteria.
hear the flesh-eating part? Do you still want to go in there? All right.
Yeah, whatever.
Can you just sign this waiver for me?
It's not my problem if they go in the water anyways. They were
Well,
warned.
the thing is, we get a lot of birds and stuff that migrate from all over, so they bring stuff. They go in the water.
Yeah.
To bring algae, bacteria from other places.
Our minds boggled. We were just like this is the stuff you don't hear about America over here. Like, what? Flesh-eating bacteria? Okay. I thought that was just horror movies.
That's because like your country is the size of one of our states. Just
No, it's not. It's much smaller. Like
One of my favorite images ever was somebody overlaid the state of Texas on Europe. Like,
oh god, that's
like the size of Europe.
Huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
Texas is huge.
France is the size of one of your states, maybe.
I have
Germany.
some overseas friends. Well, maybe one of the smaller states, like Maryland or something.
Yeah, you're
Rhode Island.
Maybe.
The UK is like the size of a state.
A
How many
state.
people are
A
there?
state.
How many people are there for
I feel like we're
square
being
footage?
compared to like the size of a consolation state now. Like, you can have a little one. You're the size of a little one.
Yeah, I'm from Maryland. Maryland is a wonderful state, even if it's teeny tiny. But but yeah, like one time, some of my overseas friends, they were like, "Oh, well, this thing isn't it just like in the next city over?" And I'm like, "Well, yeah." And they're like, "So can't you just go do it there?" And I'm like, "I mean, it's still like a 3.5-hour drive away." And they're like, "Excuse me?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it's not like nearby. But can you go to Houston? Yeah, if I want to drive 7 hours. I don't."
That's like earlier we were talking to a couple of people living out that way, and we were saying, Alice has got a job in this place. I won't disclose all information and stuff, but like she was like, I've got a job in this place, and they're like, oh yeah, no, we're really close to that. And I was like, oh cool. So how close is that? I'm like, oh yeah, it's only like a 4-hour drive. Hang on, sorry, what? That's really close? What are you talking about? That's like, if I drive to Land's End from the East Coast, that's about a 4-hour drive, like that's the
It's all about
size.
perspective. When you look at like, if someone, because we, like everyone knows people in another state, so that's far away,
Yeah. I used to drive cross country all the time because I was from Maryland, but I went to school in Washington State, and we used to drive back and forth. And my favorite thing is a friend of mine. She studied abroad in Wales, and she told me that she met all these people who were like, "Oh yeah, I want to take like a week off and drive across America." And she knew me, and she knew like how long it took to get from Maryland to Washington. And she was like, a week. And they're like,
yeah,
and
you
she's
need like
like,
2 weeks.
she's like, you can get across the United States in a week, but you're not going to see anything. Like, that's driving 10 hours a day. You can get across the United States in a week. Like, and they're like,
Yeah, because we drove straight from Illinois to New York, and it took us like 18 hours.
I could do Maryland to Washington in about 5.5 to 6 days. Yeah, it's just like, yeah, you're not gonna see anything if you take 1 week to drive across America. Like, pick a state, maybe.
So now this is making me think all about the map in Mouse Guard. How big do we think Mouse Guard is? Is it like Texas? Are we going miles and miles between the cities, or are we going like England distances? Is it like, well, here's London, there's Canterbury, there's this, there's
You
this.
said they were miles, so if you do the measurements with your thing.
Are they mouse-sized miles? Or miles? Because I was like, I feel like, because we never have overnight scenes, you know what I mean? Like when we're traveling, we might have a scene on the road, but we don't usually have like what happens when we're
Yeah, he just says this will take you 4 days to journey or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know how fast a mouse guard mouse travels.
I don't know. I've tried doing the distance thing. It's apparently from Burl to Maple Heart. Oh, I mean, that's the thing though. Perspective. Yeah, 11 feet. No, it's still not a long way to a mouse.
Yeah. Well, but yeah, but still,
I think it's not
like,
supposed to be feet. I think it's supposed to be miles.
Oh, well, so like 11 miles maybe. Yeah. Hey,
Yeah.
thanks for the follow, Dark Galaxies Gaming.
Lockhaven to like Spruce Tuck is 28.6.
Oh, so that's not that far. That's not that far.
Yeah, but for us little mice running 30 feet or 30 miles.
Oh yeah. That's,
30 miles is a tiny creature.
It's a long ways, yeah.
Yeah, and you're using a lot of energy. Hey, Mad Rogue.
Oh hi. Yeah.
We are just talking about Mouse Guard. So if you've got questions, let us know.
So I guess with it being like east to west, Wolf Point to Pebblebrook, 82.1 miles.
It's a long
That's-
way for Mouse.
But that's not all of Mouse Guard, because there's the Wild Country and there's the Dark Heather Tunnels.
Like the territories, right?
Yeah, that's just like the territories that the Mouse Guard, I guess, run currently. But they haven't lost yet. Although I feel like we're gonna lose Dory Gift,
Yeah.
especially after how we left. I'm a little nervous about that.
Yeah.
We tried so hard. To
And
convince
just like
We
strategically,
didn't try hard enough.
strategically, if we lose Dory Gift, Guild Pledge is going next.
them. I like that now we're thinking of the
I mean, it's like
war.
it's 3
Strategy.
miles away. If they've got that sort of foothold because it's so weakly defended and stuff, I'm sorry, Guild Pledge, we can't
Well,
even.
we
help
already
you.
lost Walnut, so it's like they're already pushing in on that territory. So
Yeah. Yeah.
And meanwhile, there's people up in the northeastern parts that think fighting the weasels isn't necessary.
Oh,
that was an interesting episode. Oh my gosh, I think that was definitely a moment.
Yeah.
It was hard to get that guy to agree with us too.
Like, but
But I can
realistically
definitely see it.
hard.
This is like faux medieval, and you were from that far away. If it's 80 miles away, and you're a mouse, being like, yeah, what does that even matter? Like, does it even matter? Is anybody there? What's happening? Like, I could see you've never been there in your life. As far as you know, none of this has ever happened for real.
Well, like I gave the example of the girl that was in my high school, geography class who would, they were talking about slavery, and she's like, I don't know why we keep learning about this and talking about this early. I think my history class or something.
Yeah,
She's like, I don't know why we're talking about this. It doesn't exist anymore. And I like lost my shit because I was like, it does exist. Maybe not in your little bubble because you don't experience it, but there are people who do in other countries. Like it's,
Mhm.
in fact, there's still places in the U.S. that have it. Like, it's just
yeah.
not here just because you don't see it. It's interesting to me though, because it's something that happened. So I thought it was a cool part of that episode, which was last episode. If you guys haven't watched it yet,
Yeah, it's on YouTube. On YouTube. YouTube looks so nice now. It's all thanks to Maggie as well. And after we spoke, Maggie gave me so many tips about YouTube that I now have a professional YouTube thanks to Maggie. Okay, she's taking sole responsibility.
not because of me. It's because you put your effort into it and you did it.
Sole responsibility, Maggie. But not only that, after I finished speaking to you, someone put on Twitter about how you just seem to organize people by osmosis, and I realized
Oh, that was Bentham.
after I'd finished speaking to you, we didn't speak about files and folders at all, did we? PC files and folders, anything like that. We didn't.
I don't know if we did. I know I have talked to people about it because I'm very organized with my folders.
We didn't. I remember clearly. We didn't. But after we finished talking, something compelled me to organize all of my pictures into folders and sort out all my videos and delete all the old ones. And I went on a mad organization spree. It's a strange superpower you've got, but I like it.
I will organize the world one step at a time. I'm just kidding. I'm very OCD, so I have a problem. Like when something's put in a spot that it's not supposed to, it kind of irks me a little bit. I've gotten better over the years. Like I used to just go crazy, but now I'm like, I can handle that thing being in the spot it shouldn't be in, but for a long time I could not handle that stuff. I think many years of living with my boyfriend because he is chaos and I am like the most organized person. So you have to just kind of get used to it, I guess.
Me and Alice are very similar in that Alice is the messy one.
Okay.
She's like, if I want something tidied, I need to tidy it. You know, like.
He will lose things that are like right in front of him. Like his search check is the worst search check I've ever seen in my life.
That I have to weigh in here. That's not his fault. Okay.
What?
There is something about when you find your soul partner, whoever they are, for some reason you just can't find things, and they can find it like that. It's a magic thing.
There's actually a cool psychological thing. Basically humans are like designed to use each other as information storage. So if you like live with somebody, like they're like a permanent part of your life, basically your brain says, if that person knows it, I don't need to know it. So if you know that they know where something is, you're more likely to forget it.
The thing is, I don't know where it is. I'm like, where did you last put it? Like, I walk him through the steps, and then he'll be like, I put it there. I'm like, did you check there? He's like, yeah, I checked there. I'll go look at the place he just looked. He just looked, and I'll be like, it's right there.
Alice is exactly the same, and I'm the organized one. Okay, I'm the organized one, and Alice is exactly the same. I'll be like, Alice, have you seen my keys? And she'll be like, well, have you looked here? And I'm like, how? How did you do this? Like, I searched that desk. I searched it thoroughly with fine-tooth comb. She was like, well, it was right on top.
But I can totally understand the whole thing where, like, if someone else does a thing for you, then you're like, well, I don't need to save my hardware space for that information. You got it covered. So I can totally understand that.
Yeah, they say like really old married couples, that's why they'll like, if you sit down and have conversations with them where you're just asking them a bunch of information, you'll see them like ping off each other as they're like, do you know that? Do you know that? Well, they'll know all the things, but like as a group, not necessarily individually. It's like a cool thing that humans are hardwired to do.
I'm definitely the organized one, like with everything that I do.
Space Pirate Games says he needs your help so badly. I so need your help, or is exactly
I don't have time to help everyone.
You could
with great power comes great responsibility, Maggie.
Blog you were talking about writing these hot tips for YouTube.
Hot tips on how to organize.
Like,
well, it's not a blog, it was a vlog. I used to do a lot of vlogs. I guess I could do vlogs about organizing things, but that I don't know how exciting. I feel like that would be real boring.
I don't know. I think you could tap into something there. I think there's possibly like one of them hidden guilty pleasures that people would be like, I'm gonna go and watch Maggie organize things. I just go to
someone's house and organize their stuff for them and stream it.
Isn't that like have you ever seen the TV show Hoarders?
Oh God. Oh, that's a whole. I would vomit, or like my head would explode. Like when I can't, like watching those things gives me anxiety because I'm like, oh.
Yeah, when you see a disorganized space with a newspaper from 1974 on the floor.
Oh, it's worse than that. Like they'll hoard like their cat poop because they can't live without it, which is just why.
I would watch that, says Potato Hollow.
Potato Hollow says that he was watching a vlog, or they were watching a vlog about organizing. As a kid, I lived in a house that I would consider like a hoarder's house. It was disgusting, and I think that is why I am the way that I am. Because when I was a kid, I was like, I never want to live like this. Never want to live like that. Like I lived in a trailer. I basically came from like trailer trash. Like when you think about like trailer trash, that is like where I came from as a child. You're going to learn a lot about Maggie tonight, apparently. And for me, I was like, I'm going to go to school, get straight A's, get a degree, have a good job, and never ever live like this again. And I think that's why I have fear of having kids, is because like I don't ever want them to like, if I don't even, I can like, am I even taking care of myself? I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, I just can't imagine that. So
yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I would never want anyone else to live that way. So, but I am thankful that I lived that way because it has made me who I am. So I would love to live a different life.
I used to be the messy child. So like once a week I'd help my mum tidy up the house. It'd be like the once a week thing. I'd do the hoovering, I'd do the polishing, we'd get everything nice, you know, not like brass polishing or anything, just like, you know, table, just getting dust off things.
Yeah.
And yeah, we'd do that, and I was the really messy kid, so like my room would just be a write-off. We'd never do it. Because my floor would give Maggie nightmares. It's just, you know, there'd just be like all of my schoolwork from the past week. Like when my bag got too heavy, I just used to turn it out onto the floor and then start again. And then eventually when it got too...
Why not just throw it away if you don't need it?
Well, I did
like,
eventually.
Like a garbage can like 5 feet away.
But there could have been an important note, and there was times when it was like, oh, do you still have this slip? Which...
Well, that's why you go through them and you're like, oh, I might need that later. I don't need this.
Oh, you know, I'd only go through it when I needed to find something. That'd be when I go through the floor.
And that's probably horrifying trying to find it because you just have this giant pile that you have to go through.
Oh, yeah.
I was always really bad as a child. I didn't save like actual trash type things, but like just like stuff. If I like had a toy or a book or something, I like had a really hard time letting go of things. And I found it was really great when I went to college on the other side of the country and I spent 6 months without all that stuff. And I came home and you look at it again, you're like, why did I keep this thing? This is junk. I don't need this.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot easier to give that stuff up when you haven't seen it in 6 months.
It took me a long time to realize that I was the sort of person who learned by making notes, but didn't learn anything from reading notes. So I used to try and keep all my notes in this disorganized fashion, thinking, well, I might need to learn that again. I might need to read through it. It took me a long time to realize that my memory was actually really good. And once I'd written something down, that was like my logging it. Once I'd written it, I would remember it. So I remember going through my
writing
notes.
stuff helps you remember it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
It depends on the type of writer you are, or type of learner you are as well.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's what I mean. It took me a long time to figure out what type of learner I am. Because, like, there's that old rhetoric, isn't there, where it's like, tell me and I'll forget, show me and I'll get it, and, like, involve me and I'll understand, or something like that. And, yeah. As a kid, my room was so bad that my bike was in there. You could see one handlebar sticking up. I was like, the floor is the biggest shelf in my room.
No! Space pirate, no.
Yeah, I remember...
How do you ride your bike?
I had a clearing around my radio. That was the only thing I had. There was like a little clearing around my radio so I could access the tape deck.
Anxiety.
But my bookshelf was extremely well organized. I would organize it different ways at different times. So this is like the complete...
Probably because you actually cared about that.
Yeah, exactly. So I had a complete turnaround. So like my floor was an absolute mess, but my bookshelf, one month it'd be arranged chronologically. The next month it'd be arranged by alphabet of author. The next month I'd arrange it by title. It was just a fun thing to do, to just organize my bookshelf. And then I'd look around at the rest of the room and go, I'm just going to take a match to this at some point. You know, like...
That's what likes the villain said. He's there's no saving this flamethrower.
I know people who are like that about spiders. You know,
I
like...
mean, when I was a kid, my room was like probably the cleanest room in that entire trailer. Like, it's like, yeah.
My mom had a rule when I was a kid, and that was that she would make my bed, but only if she could get to it.
Yeah.
Which wasn't very often. I had a lot of random junk in my room. And it didn't help. One time when I went to college, I came back, and my mom was like, I would like to apologize in advance. And I was like, why? And I opened the door to my room. My dad had gone through the house, and anything that he didn't know who it belonged to, he just assumed it was mine and put it in my room. And I was like, 75% of this stuff is not mine. But I had to go through it and be like, this isn't mine, I'm throwing it out. This isn't mine, I'm throwing it out. Like, stop.
Yeah.
I came home and you couldn't even see the floor in my room.
We did.
Get to the bed. There was so much stuff. I was like, well, I finally had it clean.
We did a thing at school one time where we all had a Newton meter. You know, the Newton meter to figure out how much things weigh in newtons, how much force they have. Yeah. And we did it with all of our school bags to see who had the heaviest bag. I was close because I never used to empty it until it was literally brimming, and this was at the peak of my cycle. But there was another guy who literally never emptied his bag. I think his bag weighed something like 32 kilos. And do you know what? We went through it and opened it, and like there was I can't go into details. I will genuinely make one of you throw up. But you know, there was old food contents in there. There was papers that had started to biodegrade. It was...
Oh God, why do people do this?
Yeah.
Clean things, clean it. I think one of the best things is moving. Whenever you move, just anything that you haven't seen and haven't needed, throw it away. One of the things that I do as like my own personal thing, because I'm very similar to Eris in that there are things that I feel attached to. Like I'm like, there's something weird about it that I'm like, I need to keep this. But for what reason, I have no idea. So what I do is I put it in a box. And if I never go back to that box in a month, and if I'm really attached to it, maybe I go for 2 months. And if I don't ever go to that box for any reason, I will get rid of it.
Yeah.
So like recently I had like a bunch of makeup brushes that I had, and I was like, I don't need all these brushes. Let me go through them all. And I put a bunch of them in a Ziploc bag and put it in a box. And I'm like, if I don't go back to those, I'm going to throw them out. And I haven't gone back to them, so I threw them out.
Do you know what? That's actually something we're taught.
It's like a thing, because I think sometimes we need that disconnection. We need to be like, right, I haven't gone to that box. I don't need it. I can get rid of that thing. I'm not as attached to it as I feel like I am for some weird reason.
What you've done there is you've hit on something that is actually part of engineering training for efficiency. You clearly naturally gravitate towards efficiency.
I very much am an efficient person.
It's called 5S or 6 Sigma. I don't know if you've heard of them terms, but like sort, shine, I've forgotten the others. The last one, standardize, set in order's one of them. But it's like literally everyone just thinks of it as cleaning, but the actual way you're supposed to do it is you go to an area and you basically turn it into from a mess into a working production line. And the first thing you do is you go through everything, and anything that doesn't seem to have a job right at this minute, you put a red tag on it, you put it in a box, and if you use it, you take the red tag off of it, and then you need to find it a home. So everything has a home, everything in its place. No, everything has a place and everything in its place. This is literally what I was trained for as an engineer. Like that's what that was the rhetoric they used to give us.
See, now you can use it in your everyday life.
Yeah, and I would. I did start doing that.
I was saying before about like, 6 months away from home when I came back, and they're like, suddenly I feel a lot less attached to this stuff because I haven't used it in 6 months and I haven't even thought about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's where we are right now. So we just moved recently, and we've moved back in with Alice's parents. And since we've moved from a whole house into like a room in Alice's parents, we've put a load of stuff in the barn. And already I'm thinking, well, I'm gonna need to get rid of this. Like especially because like we're now thinking that maybe we might see if we can move across to Canada or somewhere where we can actually live in the time zone we work. That sort of thing. Because at the moment, like it's currently 4:15 in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
When I finish streaming today, I can't go to the shops. I can't call any of the people who have been sending me utility bills or anything. I have to stay up way past my bedtime to do that, or wake up really early. Like, UK office hours are so far apart from me at the minute that and then you're going through it and you're like, well, hang on a minute.
It's interesting to me that you stream in like US times versus in UK, because I feel like I would prefer to be on the UK time frame, because I feel like that's when I get the best viewership, is if I could stream during the day when I was at work.
I don't know what it is, but
you're the other way around. It's because you've cultivated viewership who likes to watch at those times. It's interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting, especially because you'd think
it probably makes sense because you used to work during those hours, and so the time you were streaming and cultivating community was in the off hours.
Yeah, quite possibly.
I'm helping analyze now.
Yeah. Oh God, we're gonna be getting like...
My life is data analyzation. I basically, because I run streams and YouTube content for a video game company, so my life is just like, why did this trailer do really well and this one do really bad? Well, let me look at all the data and try to figure out where everyone came from, why they watched, and how long they watched, and
I can see it now.
Stop watching. What was that moment? What was going on in that video?
Before the end of today's tabletop talk, we're going to have all of the stream metrics up. We're going to be like going through stream metrics with Maggie. I'm going to be pulling up my old like DOE design of experiment stuff. Well, hang on a minute. Let's try maximizing this and minimizing this and see how that affects the results.
I mean, that's what we do. Like on Roll For It monthly, we actually share all of this with our hero tier on there, and we like basically go through all of our stats and analyze it and try to figure out what we can do better every month. So It's not a bad thing to do. It's funny because I help Roll For It do it, and I do it at work, but I don't do it with my own stuff. Like, I don't have time for that.
It's like there's a lot of things. I remember I was talking to somebody that I knew who was trying to start a business. She made like crafters aprons, and I was like walking her through like all the things she needed to know and like maximizing sales and stuff. And she's like, "Don't you sell stuff online?" I'm like, "Yeah, I know. I never sell anything." And she's like, "How do you know all this if you don't?" And I'm like, "I know these things. I don't apply them.
Yeah.
I know them."
I'm the same though. It's funny when you're trying to help someone else. Suddenly you can recall all of this knowledge and stuff. But when it's your own thing, isn't it? It's just like.
Well, it's because the things that you know you should be doing, but you're not doing.
'Cause I
But
know
my
that.
thing is, I do them for other people, but not for myself.
Yeah. I've done it
For it.
for myself once, but it wasn't for my stream. It was for I thought I would test how well the design of experiments would work on a first-person shooter game. So I was like playing with my settings of like dots per inch and like mouse speed and like, you know, movement, everything. I was moving all them around, and my conclusion was that I suck at first-person shooters. That was...
Okay.
Yeah. The long story short was just give up.
I was wondering where this is going, and now I don't know where it went.
Yeah, I do that so much. Like I think it comes through in my characters as well. They start with these grand ideas and just end up tailing off. Yeah.
Well, I like Brandon as a character. I think you've been sticking with it, and he's trying to find his place in the group, which is interesting. Do you think he's found it yet?
No. No. I mean, he might have started to find it, but in his head, he hasn't found it. He's got some ideas, but he's not. Like, in his head at the moment, he feels like maybe he was brought along because he's experienced, so he should be a leader, but he also knows that he doesn't have any skills or anything, and he's tried to do leadership things like give advice, help out, and it's just not working. So, like, he just needs to figure it out. You know, he just needs to figure out what he's got skills. He just needs to figure out how to apply them.
I like that he's done everything. Like, he's done a lot of variety of things. Like, he helped with the railroad thing being strong. He's helped with like knowledge things. He's helped with all these different things, but he just hasn't found what he like. I don't know what he wants to do, I guess.
Yeah, well, yeah, it might not even be what he wants to do. It might just be like the thing that gets the least backlash. And but the funny thing is, with
Good luck with that. You and Rockford
Rockford,
are never gonna agree.
yeah. With Rockford as well, that's exactly it. Like, his like goal is literally hinder Brandon. Like, it's like, okay.
I feel like little Timmy is like one of those hoarders. He probably his sack probably makes no sense to anybody else because it's just like chaos in there. But he's like, I know exactly where the spatula is. It's under the 3 pots and to the right of the.
It's like, have you ever met those people who you walk in their house and it's a complete and total mess, but they know where everything is, and they're like, yeah, it's in the bathroom, 3rd shelf. And you're like, why is it there? And they're like, I don't know, but it is. And you're like, okay.
Yeah, I can be that person easily. I get confused when people move my stuff. So like, if one day I put my keys on the stairs, they're on the stairs. If the next day I put my keys on the desk, they're on the desk. If someone was to move them from the stairs to the desk, I would be lost. I would just like go to the stairs and I'd be like the rat experiment where the rat knows the cheese is down the tunnel, but the cheese isn't in the tunnel, so it comes back out and it checks the tunnel again, and it comes back out and it checks the tunnel again. Like, no, this is definitely the cheese
Key
tunnel.
holster next to the door, so we put our keys on that when you come through the
You
door.
are just the most efficient person. Why aren't you in engineering?
Because if someone needs to move someone else's car or needs someone else's keys, you don't have to go like, hey, where are your keys? Dig through your purse. It's like, no, they're in the same spot they are every day.
Seriously though, why aren't you an engineer? You need to be an engineer. Go and do some engineering, for God's sake. Like, that was my job.
Well, I think I would be bored. I don't know. I think I would be good at doing code because I've done like game design stuff before where we're doing programming, but not on the same level. You know, it's like,
oh no, I don't mean like engineering code. I mean like literally like workshop layout.
Oh,
because that's a skill in itself.
I could see that. Yeah.
You know, like people, you'd be surprised the way machinists, experts lay out their thing. They're like, well,
I used to.
I've got my
make
toolbox.
Little doll houses with my grandpa, and we'd actually put in like lights inside of the house.
Mm-hmm.
So we did wiring inside of the houses and stuff, so you could actually turn on little lights inside of the doll houses.
I My grandmother for years collected dollhouse furniture because when she was a little kid, she wanted a dollhouse and she never got one. And so she spent years and years collecting all this dollhouse furniture. Like, someday I'm going to get a dollhouse. And she never did get a dollhouse. But that's one of the things I inherited from my grandmother was her collection of dollhouse furniture. And my dad for years was like, yeah, I'll get you a dollhouse and we can set up all your grandma's dollhouse furniture. And I still don't have a dollhouse.
Oh my god, you inherited...
Oh my god, this is like, what is this?
You inherited the lack of doll's house. That's what you inherited.
Right?
You inherited the tradition.
I think he even bought one. It's just like still in pieces. He never put it together. It's just like in our basement.
It's even worse. I feel like.
Yeah.
Oh goodness. But yeah, we built little furniture and everything like that. But it was kind of fun. But dolls weren't my thing. We actually ended up giving it to my cousin, but I helped him build it, which was really fun. Yeah. That part. So I could see engineering being a fun thing, but I could also see it being like not fun.
Oh yeah, because the worst thing you get is that these people are experts, okay, and they know what they're doing. So the thing that I was always brushing up against was the fear of change. So you'd come up to someone and be like, do you know what? You don't have to keep every tool that you've ever used in your toolbox. You can just put the useful ones on a peg next to where you use it. And people would be like, well, how will I know where it is? Well, because it'll be on the peg next to where you use it. Like, yeah, but it won't be in my toolbox. Yeah, but it'll be on a peg right next to where you use it. Yeah, but I have a toolbox, you know, like.
I finally have a workshop for like my costuming stuff. It's technically the second bedroom, but it's like a child's bedroom, so it's not really big enough to put an adult in. So I use it as a workshop instead. And I bought pegboard for the walls and I hung up all my tools because I hate having to go into my toolbox to get the tool and like digging through and like, where is it? So I just got a pegboard and hung them all up. And a friend was over to use like my stuff and he's like, oh, I need pliers. Do you have pliers? And I just like slowly turned towards the pegboard, which is like covered in pliers. And I'm like, what kind of pliers do you want? So many pliers.
It's funny as well though, because like when you've got like a toolbox person, the funniest thing you can do is not removing a tool, but every now and again they will misplace a tool. They will do it. They live by their toolbox and they know their system. They keep their spanners here, they keep their Allen keys here, and they keep these here and everything. And every now and again they'll go to it and they'll need a 10mm spanner. They'll open the 10mm spanner drawer. They'll go through the 10mm spanner drawer. No 10mm spanner. So they'll close the drawer. Look at the toolbox.
Open it again.
That's definitely the spanner drawer. Like, they go through again, and they're like, well, maybe I accidentally put it in the Allen key drawer. No, it's not in the Allen key drawer. Maybe it's actually in this drawer. And then they'll turn to the person next to them and be like, did you move my spanner? You have my spanner? You touched my spanner? They're like, no, I've not touched your spanner. Yeah, it's still on the lathe. It's on the lathe next to where they use it, which is where I told them to put it months ago, on the peg next to where they use it. But, like, you know, it's like... Okay. I'm getting PTSD. Let's stop this.
You brought it there. I don't know.
Related but slightly different. So I am also a jeweler, and one time when I was starting to get like a lot of tools and stuff, I was looking for a toolbox. Turns out jewelers don't use toolboxes; they use tackle boxes. So I ended up buying a tackle box. But at the time, I was looking at toolboxes, and I went to the hardware store and I was like wandering around. So this guy's like, "Do you need help?" I'm like, "Sure. Where are the toolboxes?" He shows me to them, and he was like, "Well, what are you buying a toolbox for? Like, is it a present for your boyfriend or for your brother?"
Oh God, I just want to slap him.
I looked at him. I'm like, no, I need somewhere to put my tools. I need a toolbox for me. And he was like, you have tools? And I'm like, I have so many tools. Like, that's why I need a toolbox to put them in. Like, it was just like mind blown. He was like, you, a woman, need a toolbox?
And it happens.
Yes.
Oh God, I just want to kick him in the balls. I don't even know him.
Here's the tie-in. Back to tabletops. Alice recently went to a tabletop store here to look for a book for herself.
God, they're the worst.
And so like the guy's like, oh, what do you need? And she's like, oh, I really want a Warhammer book, you know, 2nd edition, whatever it was she was after at the time. And he's like, oh, cool. Is that for husband, boyfriend, brother, dad? And she's like, no, me. I want to play Warhammer. And he's like, no, really? Who's it for? She's like,
Was this the question? I have like my normal comic shop that I go to in the area, and it's super cool. It's run by this guy and his daughter, And they're very friendly, like kid-friendly, woman-friendly. It's a great place, and I love it. But one time, they didn't have any short boxes. They were out, and I needed one. I was like out of space. So I went to this store. Actually has gone out of business, so like I feel validated. But I went to this other comic store in town, and I walk in, and I'm like sort of looking around. And the guy at the counter is like, "Oh, can I help? Like, do you need something?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm looking for short box." And he's like, "Oh, they're right over there." And he like snickered at me. I don't think I've ever been snickered at in my life before this moment. He snickered at me, and he goes, "What are you gonna put comics in it?" And I was like, "Yes." What kind of question is that? And he just looked flabbergasted, like that I, a woman, would put comics in a special box designed for storing comics.
How dare you, Aris? How dare they're not?
Else?
They're not for you. They're not for you, okay? Don't you? Didn't you see the gate on the doorway on the way in?
People think that it's not a thing, but and it's not only women or not only men that do it. Like I went to the store a while ago to get Xanathars, and when I did that, I also went and grabbed like a new player's handbook because I was like, mine was falling apart. Later, I found out I could have just sent that back to Wizards, and they would have given me a new one. But
really, I didn't know that.
Yeah, apparently, because like my edition is so old, like one of the first editions. And the glue, something was wrong with the glue, and apparently if you sent it back, they would just like replace it for you. And I didn't know that. So whatever. But I went and got a couple new ones because I'm DMing like some other stuff in person at lunchtime for some friends. So I was like, oh, well, I'll just buy some. And so I bought all these books. I was buying all these like Dungeons and Dragons books. And like when I bought it, the lady at the counter was like, oh, is this a gift for somebody? And I was like, no. Oh, you sure you're not getting that for like she even herself was like, oh, is it for a gift for your boyfriend or your brother? Or like it was a very similar thing to me, and I was like, no. She's like, oh, then who are you getting? Like, who are you getting for me?
Why are you getting them then? What are you doing?
If it's not a gift, it's for me.
I feel like we need to read that out as well in relation to the comics in the. No, I'm going to put the scalps of other gatekeepers who snickered at me in them. What a golden response. That's amazing.
Like,
The thing too is like short boxes are expensive. And I was like, if I just needed a cardboard box, why would I go out of my way to get a short box? Like, what do you think I'm going to do with this special box designed for comics? And put comics in it. Like, what?
Well, do you know what?
My comics.
I really thought it would be great for knitting needles. That's what I thought. Do you know what? It's just the right length. Perfect.
Oh, so we should just start trolling people like that.
What? The Scrackers Academy Guide to Alternate Gendered Products.
Alternate use for geeky products.
Yeah.
Well, there was a time where in Alabama, when I lived there, I was buying some old PlayStation 2 controller or old PlayStation controllers. I just needed old controllers because if we were going to smash them for a video.
I've got so many.
We were doing a clip a bit where like someone rage, like when they rage, like gaming rage, and like they throw the controller down, and we wanted it to be realistic, so we wanted to find like an old controller.
Oh, that you didn't mind actually throwing on the ground.
You've got a real niche there, because if you go too old, them fuckers just don't break. You know, like they built them things to last. Like,
believe me,
and
broke.
It's between PS1 and PS2. I found.
But when I went to the store to get it, like, it was funny because the guy was like, "Well, what kind of PlayStation do you have?" I'm like, I don't need it to actually function. I just need an old controller. Do you have any old controllers that are like shit controllers? Just give me a shit controller. And he's like, well, what are you going to use it for? Like, I'm going to smash it. He was like, no, really, what are you going to use it for? Like, he's just like,
yeah, that's it. That's what we're going to do
with
with
an
it.
old controller. Why are you giving me hassle about it?
So
he's
like
trying to like school me on like what the controller could be used for. And I was like, I don't care. It's for PlayStation. I get it, but I don't care. I just want to smash it. Like legit, I'm just gonna kill this thing.
I wish I'd known you at the time, because I would have got closure for you. You would have helped me get some hoarding. You would have had controllers. What I used to do is, because like I found when I was saying PS1 and PS2 controllers, I have a measurement of pain. No. I have a measurement of pain with PS2 controllers, because I just found that, especially the first editions, they would just break over time. You know, like the buttons would stop working or whatever, especially the shoulder buttons. Yeah. So what I would have is just this horde of old controllers that I would just keep
Why would you keep them?
in a box so that I can make.
Purpose.
Well, I used to use them. I used to make Franken controllers. When
Oh,
when
okay.
one broke,
Oh,
I would.
you'd harvest them for parts.
Yes, that's exactly what I used to do. I would harvest them for parts. So I just always had
Okay, that
all
makes
of
sense
these
to me.
old controllers lying around.
This is a good use of hoarding. Okay,
Yeah.
this is appropriate hoarding usage.
but I feel like if I'd have known you at the time and you needed old controllers, I'd have been like, yes, finally I can get rid of them. Please take them. I don't need them. Like, I've had this one since 1994.
So my oldest brother, speaking of messing you, my oldest brother, he's autistic, and he doesn't like understand he does, but he doesn't care enough to do it. He won't put things like, he has video games, and you'll open a video game and you'll be like, Assassin's Creed, and you'll open it and be like, that's Spyro, okay, because he just like when he's done playing the game, he takes it out and finds an empty game thing and puts it in, and so you're like, but what if I wanted to play Assassin's Creed? How am I supposed to find it? He's like,
can I X card this? Can I X card this? This doesn't happen in real life. It doesn't happen.
Okay, that's pretty troll. Like you're going,
I
like,
hate
how do you
it.
find anything? The better
and
skill
it's
would
not
be
like he knows where they are. He just
okay.
looks around.
Yeah, I was gonna say the better skill would be is if he knew which one they were all in and they were disorganized.
Oh no. Like I hate that. Like I can't remember who it was who used to do it, but like they'd take the game they want to play, they'd open it, they'd open the PS2 or whatever, and the game that was in there they would just take out, and they go, well, I don't have anywhere to put this. I should put it in this box so it's safe.
I'm gonna date myself here, but back in the day, sometimes people would record over VHSs and put them in the original box that the VHS was for.
Oh.
So you'd pull it out and you'd be like, oh yeah, Beauty and the Beast. You put it in, it's not Beauty and the Beast. But even the VHS says it too. So you're just like, what the hell is this?
I got into so much trouble as a kid with VHSs because my brother's copy of Michael Jackson's History 2 was accidentally left in the VCR, and I recorded over half of it of Dragon Ball Z, and it wasn't even a good episode. It was just one of the ones where they were like charging the whole episode. Like,
oh no! Oh, you used to do that with CDs, yeah.
One time when I was babysitting, like in high school, my mom was like, oh, you should bring like a movie for the kid to watch. Like, I'm sure they probably haven't seen some of the older Disney movies. And I was like, I don't know if that's true, but like, okay. So she hands me some VHSs, and I'm like, I don't know that they're going to have a VHS player. Because it was like a younger couple. The kid was like pretty little. And I was like, I don't know that they're going to have a VHS player. And she's like, why wouldn't they have a VHS player? We have a VHS player. And I'm like, well, yeah, but we also have a huge collection of VHSs. Like, of course we have a VHS player. And so I was like, okay, fine. So I brought it over, and I had it with me. And the little girl's like, what's this? And I'm like, it's a videotape. And she's like, a what? And I'm like, it's a videotape. And she's like a movie? And I'm like, yeah. She's like, but movies come on discs. And I was like, oh, they didn't always, small child.
yeah.
Yeah, VHSs are old. Not very many people have them anymore.
That's the next thing I need to get rid of.
VHSs.
That's the next thing I need to get rid of because I used to okay, so here was my master plan, okay? At the age of 18 I decided I've got all these VHSs, but you know, they're going out of fashion fast, but also all the cartoons are going towards Teletubbies and stuff. And like when I get to like 30 or 40 and I've got kids, I don't want them watching Teletubbies, you know. I want them watching the cartoons I was watching. So I thought, right, I'll collect them all. I'll have all of them. Okay, so that's what I did. And I've now got maybe 50, 100 VHSs. And I would play them every now and again when I was a student. And when I used to be able to have 17 different screens on and still be able to follow them, but I can't do that anymore. But moreover, my VCR broke 6 months ago.
Oh no.
And I haven't replaced the VCR. I haven't got rid of the VHSs yet. They're now stored in a barn. I just I need to rip the plaster.
Like those are relics of our time.
They are.
I feel like
but there's probably somebody
keeping like
them.
a few VHSs and a usable VCR is like, there's something about that to me that is classic.
Yeah.
It's the same reason why I love certain, you know, like music playing devices, because like playing a vinyl.
Well, I was gonna say if you're
a song on a vinyl is just so different than listening to just like something through your ear.
I was gonna say, if you're an audiophile, apparently vinyls actually do have much better sound quality than like digital files.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
There's just something different about all of that stuff to me that I relic in this. But I also think you should keep them nice and organized, not just like shove them in a box.
So
Put them on a bookshelf.
I have them in a bookshelf, and I used to like videos with
Also,
like
when
books.
people come over, they're like, "You have fucking VHSs? What? This is old school."
My top shelf would be the best movies. Like that was my top shelf content. Like I used to put it like the original director's cut of Jurassic Park that came in the box. Yeah, in the box that was like made of rock or looked like it was made of rocks. That's VHS porn that goes on the top shelf. You know, like. So I had The Matrix up there, with the intention like it's like a throwback from my childhood, because I knew that all the movies that were really good but out of my age range would be put out of my height. So I knew I needed to get a chair or a ladder and get up high to watch the good shit at like 12. You know, like.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, speaking of relics, so we have this laptop at work. We have like a PC, but we also have a laptop, and the laptop has one of those, like, you know, the little orange round button in the middle that was a mouse that nobody ever used.
Mm-hmm.
They were popular for like a year or two. It
They
has
still
one
have
of those.
ones on PCs.
Well, this computer is old enough that it's from the first time that they were popular, like when I was in middle school or something. And we have this program called Aqua Teens, which are like volunteers that are teenagers. And one of the Aqua Teens one day, where I'm like showing her something, and she's like, "What is that thing?" And I'm like, "That's like a mouse." And she's like, "A what?" And I'm like, "It's like a thing when I was in middle school. It was really popular for a while." And she like looks at me and she goes, "Well, when were you in middle school?" So I told her, and she's just like, "Wow, you're old." And I was like, "What? Teenager? I'm older than you."
Damn kids, get off my lawn. Like...
But then the best part is she's a kid who's shadowing my job because she wants to have it someday. And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm the adult that holds the job you're shadowing. What?" And she's like, "I was like 4 when you were in middle school." And I'm like, "Okay, yeah, you're like 10 years younger than me." "Yes." I don't understand, teenager. Why did you feel the need to insult me?
Because teenager.
Yeah.
That is why.
That
You don't
is-
need any other explanation.
There's a lot of pain behind those teenage eyes.
No, I think it's about 12.
It's not even just teenagers. One of my coworkers did the same thing. Like he's younger, and they were like, he's like, "How old are you anyways?" And I was like, "How old do you think I am?" And he like guessed like 10 years older than what I am, and I was like, "Thanks."
God damn it, doesn't he know anything? Always guess low. Always guess low.
For the longest time, everybody always thought I was way younger than I was. And I remember once I had this conversation. This was my first job, and I'd already graduated from college, and I graduated at the normal time. Like, I did not graduate early or anything. And this lady came in, and she's like, "Oh, so are you going to be going to college to study like animals and stuff?" And I'm like, "No, I already did that." And she's like, "So you're starting soon?" And I'm like, "No, I finished like a year ago." And she's like, "So you're in high school?" I'm like, no, I'm like 25. She's like, "So you're going to be going to college?" And it's like, "You know what? Yes, fine. Yes, I'm going back to undergraduate school. I'm actually 18. Magical." But no, I'm like 20. Well, I guess I was 23 at the time. A little up, but it was like, I mean, I'm not that old, but I'm not that young either.
Sorry, Space Pirate Games has just mentioned some more retro porn in the chat there. Our first VCR had the tray that popped up from the top. I love old stuff. When we was clearing out the garage in the move, I found my Walkman and my favorite mixtape, which was the only cassette I'd kept.
You
I'm
only
like-
need one. You can record everything over it.
Yeah, I'm like, it was just a great feeling to put my headphones in and just like jam out to all the tracks that I'd put on this mixtape. It was great. So this recording was so shoddy, so much hiss, because like anything that went, I don't know how they set up the recording, but basically anything that went through the speakers would end up on the tape. So I remember recording.
So you had like a shitty boombox.
Oh yeah, it was terrible. It was an awful boombox. But like,
Okay.
what I remembered, I used to manipulate it. I ended up using it later on to like record interviews and stuff because I realized that if I talked into the speakers hard enough, it'd work like a microphone.
Wow.
Like, so, yeah, like,
Why don't you just get a recorder?
well, because I had a boombox that already did it, you know, like, like, why would I?
Oh my gosh. This is like Straticus old school podcasting days,
Yeah.
using speakers.
Yeah, no, I did that. I used to find inventive ways to avoid essays. So, what I would do is I would, like, people would, I remember the first time I used to do it was at primary school, you know, when you had to copy out things, yeah? You had to copy out the text. And I'd be like, if I write it in my own words, would that be, like, okay? Would that, like, to show that I've understood it? And they'd be like, yeah! And I'd write it in, like, half the words. You know, like, and then the same thing later on. When it came to, like, writing essays and stuff, they'd be like, well, I want an essay this long about this thing during history. Like, I remember it clearly. It was the assassination at Sarajevo that started the whole World War I thing. And I was like, could I do it instead like a radio report? And they were like, yeah, sure. So instead of writing an essay for 4 hours, I just spent 15 minutes, like, reporting, oh my god, shots fired in Sarajevo. Like, you know, like...
I mean, creativity.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
My friends hated me, but, you know, I was that guy for many years. Sorry,
The
my
cable boxes.
throat's going.
Oh yeah, cable boxes. It's been interesting seeing. I'm glad that I come from like the 90s kid era because I've gotten to see technology change in very, very drastic ways. Like I remember when this kind of device was like a Star Trek thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now I own it and I can use it, which is just amazing to me. So for me, I'm like so grateful. I came from, you know, an era when there were PCs to there was till now I'm in front of 6 monitors. Like, hell yeah.
I think I read somewhere that like our generation is very nostalgic, and part of that is because we went through such a period of like really rapid change that you end up being super nostalgic about like the period before. But it's crazy to me like how minor a difference makes, because like when I was in undergrad, in one of my classes there was this like, I don't remember exactly what it was, but some kind of meter or thing that they had. And you can buy new ones, but they're really expensive. And the old ones don't, like the new ones aren't any better than the old ones. The college already had old ones, but you can only use them with like, you know, the big computers with the black screens and the green text. So one day we came to class and there was a bunch of those in the classroom.
The CT monitor.
Yeah, with the old computer. And I was like, oh my God, I used to play games on a computer like this. And I was a little bit older than everybody else in that class, but like 2 or 3 years, not like a ton. And they're all like, what is that thing? And I'm like, it's an old computer. And they're like, how do you use it? And I'm like, the same way you use a computer now. You type things in it. There's a mouse. Like, it's not complicated. They were like, I'm not touching it. And I was like, well, fine, I'll do it. But it was just like crazy to me because they're like, I've never seen a computer like this. It must be evil. And it was like,
yeah.
I love watching the kids, like those kids when they like put weird technology in front of kids. And like someone put like a Nintendo, like an old school Nintendo in front of them, and a kid was like, "Is it a toaster?" It's like, I love like the like they just don't know what it is, or they're trying to figure out how to put stuff into things. It just cracks me up.
I was at summer camp and I was making a shirt as a present for my brother, and I painted like a Sega Genesis controller on it because we still have the Sega Genesis, and these girls who were like, I don't know, 4 or 5 years younger than me, they came up and they're like, what's that? And I'm like, it's a Sega Genesis controller. And they're like, what's that? And I'm like, it's an old gaming console. And they're like, what's Sega? And I'm like, Sega still exists. Like, hey, that one still exists. Excuse you.
They just might not be gamers too. That's the thing.
Yeah. That's the thing. It's become a lot broader as technology's become more available to a wider audience. Gaming used to be a lot more niche than it is now.
Well, gaming's the top entertainment in the world now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it used to be movies. It is now games, which is kind of crazy to me.
The thing that gets me, so I actually don't even own a TV, and it's one of those things I used. During my first internship, I lived in a house where they had a TV, but like I never used it or anything. So I went a really long time without watching TV, and ever since, like I just am like I can't do TV anymore. And every single time people are like, oh, what TV shows do you like? And I'm like, oh, I don't watch TV. Like if I really want to watch something, I'll watch it on like Netflix or whatever. And I'm like, oh, I don't even own a TV. And people will always be like, well, what do you do? You play video games? And I'm like, I know, I play like tabletop games, but I don't really play video games. And people are like, what? It's just like, I mean, there are other things you can do. And they're like, what do you do? I'm like, well, I sew and I like to read books. And people are like, yeah, but what else do you do? And it's like, I have many hobbies that just don't involve TVs.
It does baffle people. I don't watch any TV either anymore. None, in fact. Like, especially since I've gone like full time and stuff. Like when I was doing the crazy stuff that Maggie's doing, when I was working full time and then trying to stream 40 hours a week as well, there just wasn't any time. And now that I've discovered sleep again, now I do about 50 to 60 hours a week streaming. And then the rest of this time in the week, I've learned there's this thing you can do where you lay down in a bed and you close your eyes and like your body regenerates itself. It's really strange. It's really strange. Like,
I'm saying I don't sleep, but I do now. There was a time when I didn't, but I do.
So now I remember only a few months ago coming into your chat and being like, when I was doing it, and I was like, oh yeah, there's nights I only get a few hours sleep, and you were like, yeah, 2 hours is usually enough for me.
Yeah, there was a time where I was doing like 2 hours. I can go on 2 hours of sleep. Doesn't mean I should. I've been pretty good about going like 5 to 8 hours of sleep now. But there are times where like I will do the 2 hour thing if I need to.
Oh yeah. I mean, I'll still do the all nighter thing if I need to. The worst one I did with that was I had a cold and a sore throat, sort of like I do now. But what I did was instead of doing a 3 hour stream on a slightly sore throat, I did a 30-hour stream on a sore throat, and I gave myself pneumonia for 3 weeks.
Oh no.
So there was no streaming, there was no work, and I was like,
yeah, that's
like,
much rougher.
I was on Twitter like, I'm sorry guys.
I don't watch like TV, like, I don't watch like a TV channel or anything like that, but I do watch a lot of shows. But that's also like my life is making videos and creation of videos, right? Like editing is something that I just love doing, and like videography is something that I like. So for me, that and acting, I just love all of that. So like what film is something that like is a big part of my life. So I always find time for that. But it's not as much. So it's like I get to watch like an episode a day or something like that. And I'll just like run on the elliptical while I'm watching like an hour show or something like that. So that's kind of how I find a way to do it. Or while I'm crafting, like what Eris was saying, was like I do a lot of cosplay crafting. So I'll just like watch a show, and while I'm watching it, I do. But I don't just sit and watch sometimes. It just depends on like if I need to chill and just be lazy, then I will just be lazy and lay there. But...
So like I don't watch shows at all anymore. My problem is addiction, or call it passion, whatever you like. But like I love. Since I've discovered TTRPG and like shows and everything, it's been over a year now. I've become 100% addicted to it, and I found there's just so much of it out there that you can literally fill all of your time with it. And so like I'm always either streaming my own stuff or trying to catch up on all the cool stuff that my friends are doing whilst playing World of Warcraft or something, which is why we all have more than one screen, right? We all say it's for production, but really it's so you can have WoW on the big screen and a podcast or something on the other one, right? That's the real reason. Yeah.
I do watch a lot of stuff in the background, so I can understand that.
I have a really hard time with that. If there's something playing in the background and I'm not like super familiar with it, like people make fun of me because I'll listen to the same songs over and over and over, and I'm like, well, I have to listen to it a bunch because if I like don't have it like memorized, I will pay attention to it if it's playing while I'm doing other things. So a lot of times I'll work, no TV on, no music on, no nothing, just like in silence. And people are like, how do you do that? I'm like, because I'm focusing on this one thing that I'm doing, and if anything else is going on, I'm gonna look at that instead. Like,
see, I was
interesting. I know a lot of people like that, like you, who are when they're doing something, they're like, I dedicate all my time to this one thing. I am not the type of person. I like having all my senses doing things. I don't know if that makes sense. I'm like, I like hearing something or watching something while I'm doing something. I don't know.
Yeah, I was, so when I was like 17 and stuff, it's scary how long ago that was. Like I just quickly did the maths and shit. But like I used to like, Oblivion was the game that I used to play all the time. So I had my PC set up with Oblivion on one screen, music on another screen, like YouTube videos playing music or whatever, and like other stuff going on. I'd have my VCR TV combi playing a VCR at me. Usually something like The Matrix or Jurassic Park, something that I knew but loved to watch over and over again. So like when my favorite bits came on, I could switch focus to that. And like, you know, I would have like 5 or 6 different screens going on before that was a thing, but they'd be like CRT monitors and like, you know, this one's got Tekken on it, so that if I fancy having a quick round of Tekken, I can just pick up a handset and play Tekken and then put that back down again. And...
Okay, I'm not that crazy.
Yeah,
I'm not good at multitasking like at all. It's not. It's a good thing, I guess, because in my job, usually you have to like focus on one thing at a time. Can't really like do multiple things at the same time.
Yeah.
Although I guess actually I do have to do that a lot, because when you're doing a show, when I first started doing shows at work, this was the hardest thing, because you have to like focus on the animal. When you're working with an animal on stage, it's a training session. So you have to focus on like, what is that animal doing? How can I set them up to succeed? How can I make sure this is a rewarding experience for them? And at the same time, you have to keep talking to the audience. And you're like, The worst is when an animal does something crazy and you have to fill space. And as soon as I know so many things about animals, but as soon as I just have to spew facts while we solve whatever's going on with this animal, I'm like, this is a bird.
Yeah.
Like, why?
It's difficult to perform under pressure.
The worst is that sometimes after show, like if it's a really bad show, guests will come up and they'll like, I call them pity donations. They'll put a donation in the box. I think people think the money goes to us. It's for a rehab center. It's like, it's not my money. I don't care. But they'll like put money in the box and they'll be like, you did a good job. Good effort. And you're like,
hey, I don't need your pity money.
My job is really hard. And also that money's not ours. I don't care.
Anyway.
Aww.
I am.
Like, you think they're tipping us, but like make eye contact when they put money in the box. You're like, it's not my money. I don't care.
Yeah. Anyway, you guys, my throat's getting pretty sore. I think I'm probably getting ready to call it. It's been wonderful chatting to you guys about Mouse Guard.
I tried to bring it back a couple times, and then I was like, "There's no hope."
So did I. I mean, I thought I was quite clever with some of my hooks back, but it didn't happen. So why don't we go around? You guys tell us where we can find you online and all the other wonderful things that you do for all of us who have no time to watch them but want to anyway. And we'll do a wrap up. I'll go and see if I can find someone that we can go and check out. This time we'll start with you, Eris. Why don't you tell us all about yourself?
All right. Well, I'm Eris, and if you hadn't figured that one out already, I'm a zoologist. I'm in grad school, and I train animals during the day. And do a show. It's really hard. And I'm also a cosplayer. I play a lot of tabletop games. You can find me almost everywhere as Animus Panthera. And I love to chat about all those things, so feel free to talk to me anytime.
Fantastic. Just posting your links in chat there. And the same thing to you. I was going to say same questions, but I didn't really ask any questions. I was like, just tell me everything. Sing for me. Sing for me, Megalo, sing.
Hey everyone, I'm Margaret Crone. You can find me at Margaret Crone in all the places. Pretty simple. On my Twitter, I have my schedule pinned if you want to check out what's going on. But I stream every single day except for Friday. I'm in 7 to 8 tabletop RPGs a week. So if you're interested in more tabletop action and you can find some time, come check it out. And I also upload new gameplay videos every single day on Margaret Crone Plays if you're interested in that type of content. Someday the vlogs will come back on Margaret Crone when I find time. But I think that covers most of it. And if you're interested in MMORPGs, I, as a day job, am the video manager for NCSoft, and we make a lot of MMOs. So come check out some MMOs. They're all free to play.
I need to check out some of them, actually. I'm a big MMO fan.
You might have heard some of them, like Ion, Guild Wars 2.
Guild Wars 2, there it is.
Lineage 2.
Yeah, Lineage, yeah. No, my addictions have been in different places, though.
Blade and Soul.
I'm 5 times addicted to WoW. This is my 5th time addicted to WoW.
Well, then you already got an MMO. There's really only time for one MMO in your life. I'm just letting you all know. Don't do what I do and try to keep up with all of them. It just doesn't work.
Yeah, no, there was a time when I was trying to juggle WoW and SWOTOR. 6 years was my SWOTOR campaign until I stopped that. My throat's really going. I should wrap up. So you guys,
Distracted again.
if you've enjoyed today's little chat, come and be part of our community over in our Discord. We're always talking about all sorts of wonderful things, including TTRPGs, including feels and stuff, because we're all about emotions on this channel because they exist and they're valid.
What emotions?
If your nostalgia isn't what it used to be, if you're if you are, I've seen a couple of people saying that they're interested in getting into D&D. If you want to do that, that's what I'm all about. I still have spaces before Christmas. Get on the Twitter, send me a DM, and I will get you in a game. Simple as that. I still have at least 10 or 20 spaces, so let me know. And thanks to Maggie, my YouTube is a well-oiled machine now that uploads videos automatically and that does all sorts of
You didn't know that you could schedule videos. I was like, oh no. I'm teaching you this right now.
So basically,
I was like, well, how are you doing it? He's like, I just upload them all. I was like, no, scrap. No.
I was like, well, I record the video and then I edit it, and then and Maggie was just like, yeah. So now it's a well-oiled machine, and you can thank this wonderful woman. What else do I do? Oh, I'm full time.
For doing all the work.
Yeah, well, yeah, secondary. I'm also full time now, so thank you very much for your support, everyone. You've been amazing this month. We've already hit our goal. We're £200 over our goal and into our stretch goal of potentially coming to see all of you lovely American fans out at Gen Con, because obviously we don't live in American time, so that would be a good chance for us to actually come and see you. On the subject of cons, we're also at MCM Comic Con at the end of this month, so if you are in London, I believe Critical Role are going to be there, so if you're going there to see them, you can also come and see us. You'll spot us from our Academy hoodies. Me and Alice we're going to be twinning in Academy hoodies, so you can find us.
Precious.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
You need to get like pajama pants that have the logo all over them.
You can get tights.
Yeah,
Tights.
leggings.
Yeah, tights with the logo on the inner thigh, no less. Why the logo's on
That's the place people are looking. What?
Why the logo's on the inner thigh and
Why
not
would
the
it be
outer thigh?
outside?
I don't know. I'm not asking these questions.
It's not on the butts. A lot of times when they put the logo.
Oh yeah, you gotta have that booty.
Please,
I mean, the booty I can understand.
Academy logo tramp stamp right here.
Yeah.
Patreon. Support us on Patreon. You can support us by buying some of the merch that we're talking about. We've got all sorts over there. If you want your coffee mugs, bedspreads, you name it, you can get it. We've even got some character art on there now as well. So if there's a particular character you like from one of the campaigns, you can go and get that as well. We have sponsors. Bird in the Storm Publishing were our first sponsor. They got in by a day before Mage Hand Press. You can check out their Teespring at the moment. Their Twitter is also there. Come the new year, they're going to be putting a lot of content on our channel between games. So possibly between the first and second game of the day, or the second and third game of the day, they'll put an episode up that lasts an hour. It's going to be great fun.
You ever wear these shirts that have your face on them?
I've done it once, and it was the weirdest thing.
I feel like that would be so weird for me to wear a shirt with my face on it.
So when
Sorry, I was looking at all the merch.
One time I did the first one I did, the first poster, the oldest one. I was like, oh yeah, I'll get.
Take a picture of yourself doing the same face while you're also wearing it.
Yeah,
like a pictureception.
Alice is in the next room. We could totally do that. Like,
I think it needs to happen.
Oh my god, if I got a picture of myself wearing a picture of myself and then I uploaded it onto Redbubble, would it just be a never-ending picture of me picturing myself? Oh! Why didn't you work, Mage Hand Press? Has Nightbot gone down? I'm sure that's the right command. There we go. There we go. Margot? Who's Margot? Mage Hand Press are our other sponsors. You can see their content on Thursdays during our show run by my wonderful wife, Alice, where we demonstrate their dark matter reskin of 5e in space. It's a lot of fun.
Awesome.
It is a lot of fun, and you can find in that link there the free 30-page review as well if you want to check it out.
I love the Dark Matter show. It's so good.
It's amazing.
I like the characters too.
What else have I got? I've got rainbow dice. Do you want some rainbow dice? Here's a competition where you can win some rainbow dice. There you go. There's them there. But don't look at them here. Go and look at the tweet, because Alice took a picture of them, and she's a professional photographer, and she actually made them look nice, whereas I'm holding them up in a cloudy plastic bag on a shitty webcam.
You need to get a fancy jar that you can put them in. So when you hold them up, they're in like a cool jar. Because there's like all those jars you can get that have cool shapes, and you can just plop them in there.
I think. Can I like just hire you to just talk to me for a quarter of an hour a day? Could we do that?
Sure.
Could we just do that? Just a quarter of an hour a day.
15 minutes of useful ideas.
I just want to like suck all the ideas out of your brain for 15 minutes a day and then carry on.
I'm sorry.
What else have we got? No, don't be sorry. Please don't be sorry. That's it. That's everything. So today we're going to go over, I think should we make our raid cry nostalgia isn't what it used to be? That feels fun. Because it's clever too.
Nintendo is not a toaster.
Nintendos aren't
Also,
toasters.
Sega still exists.
So yes, Sega still exists. That's a pretty good one too.
Okay, chat, just quickly, those of you who are left, 1, Nintendos aren't toasters, 2, Sega still exists. Go, go, go. I'm gonna give you like 20 seconds whilst I go and like make sure I'm on the page that we're gonna load. I'm gonna take you over today. Someone's just chatting. They're JWO Designs. They do cosplay stuff. I've just recently been getting into their stuff. At the moment, they're just chatting with their beautiful dog. I'm looking at their screen right now. The dog's amazing. So we're gonna. Oh, come on, you guys! 2 for 2, 2 for 1. Come on, we need a tiebreaker. Yeah, but I found them recently and they're good fun. So that's what we're gonna head across.
You're the tiebreaker. In the end, you
I
still
am
have
the-
to
I am the-
decide.
do you know-
I like that. 3.
Yeah, I'm gonna go for Sega still exists because we actually said it in the game. In the game,
In the stream.
I'm delirious. Apparently, it's happened already. There's a version without Scrat Hype. There's a version with Scrat Hype. Pop it if you've got it. And we're gonna go and do a lovely little raid. There we go. So guys, while that's cooling down, we are full-time streamers now. You can catch us here Monday to Thursday, 1 PM, 6 PM, and 10 PM every day. Next season, we're also going to throw in Fridays on them schedules as well. At the moment, Fridays, where you can find us over at the Greyhawk channel at 1 PM, and at 8 PM, you can find us here this week, and every alternative week, playing Lady Blackbird. My mind's gone. Keep evoking emotions, everyone. We'll see you next time. See you later. Bye!